Ever wonder what it's like for a woman who chooses to live alone, not out of necessity, but because she truly wants to? In a world that constantly tells us happiness comes from being in a relationship, where success is measured by companionship and solitude is feared, there's a different kind of woman. This woman isn't lonely or incomplete. Instead, she embraces solitude as a path to strength, self-discovery, and peace. Society often views a woman who lives alone without a man as someone who must be miserable. But what if that's not true? What if solitude is not a weakness, but a superpower? Imagine a woman who walks her own path, finding emotional validation from within, not from others. This woman is stronger, more resilient, and more in tune with herself than most people will ever be. Throughout history, some of the greatest minds, artists, and leaders have spent long periods in solitude, not because they had to, but because they knew something most people don't. Solitude is an opportunity to master yourself, to sharpen your mind, to live with discipline, and to become a woman who doesn't need external validation. The ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, believed that the key to happiness wasn't found in relationships, wealth, or status. Instead, they believed in self-mastery, in controlling your mind, emotions, and actions. That's what we're going to explore today. This isn't about dismissing relationships or saying having a partner is wrong. It's about understanding the wisdom in standing on your own, finding happiness without relying on anyone else. A woman who learns to thrive in solitude is a woman who is truly free. And according to the Stoics, freedom is the foundation of a powerful and meaningful life. So if you've ever felt like you're different for choosing independence, if you've wondered whether living alone means you're missing out, or if you just want to understand the deeper strength that solitude offers, stick around. We're about to uncover 7 powerful truths about the woman who walks alone. There's a unique strength in knowing you can rely on yourself for everything. Most people depend on others for emotional support, financial stability, or even just to get through the day. But a woman who lives alone doesn't have that luxury. She doesn't have a partner to help manage her emotions, cook meals, or remind her of the little things. No one splits the bills or steps in when things get tough. At first, it can feel overwhelming, but over time, it builds an incredible sense of self-sufficiency. If you don't cook, you don't eat. If you don't clean, you live in a mess. Everything is up to you, and that realization fosters independence. The Stoics taught that a person should stand on their own. Seneca once said, "He who is content with the least is the richest," reminding us that contentment lies in self-sufficiency, not in luxury. This mindset isn't just about money. It's about understanding that you don't need constant companionship or external validation to feel whole. A woman who can provide for herself and manage her life is truly free. Most people fear being alone. They associate solitude with loneliness. But the woman who truly understands herself doesn't just tolerate solitude, she embraces it. She doesn't need distractions, social interactions, or meaningless relationships to fill the empty space. Instead, she uses solitude to think, reflect, and grow. The Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, believed solitude is one of the most powerful tools for self-discovery. By removing external noise, a woman can finally hear her own thoughts. She can reflect on her goals, her purpose, and her weaknesses without the influence of others. A woman who embraces solitude doesn't fear silence. She seeks it to train her mind, develop mental clarity, and become stronger in the process. A woman who lives alone isn't reactionary. She doesn't let emotions control her. Life throws many challenges, disappointments, frustrations, setbacks. But a woman who has embraced solitude moves through it all with calm and discipline. The Stoics believed true strength comes from within. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you're forced to deal with your emotions on your own, without a partner constantly reassuring or validating you, you develop unshakable emotional control. Living alone forces a woman to confront herself, face her emotions, and handle them without relying on anyone else. This internal discipline leads to greater emotional stability, allowing her to remain unshaken by external forces. In today's world, most people are trapped in debt, toxic relationships, jobs they hate, or lifestyles that drain them. But the woman who lives alone enjoys something rare: freedom. The Stoics taught that true wealth is not about having a lot, but about needing little. Without the financial or emotional obligations of a relationship, she has full control over her finances. She isn't pressured to spend to impress anyone. But financial freedom is only part of the equation. The real power comes from mental freedom, the ability to make decisions based on logic and personal growth, not societal expectations or emotional obligations. This kind of freedom allows a woman to take risks, change careers, or move cities without compromising her dreams for the sake of a relationship. She is the sole architect of her life. Most people drift through life chasing external pleasures and distractions, relationships, money, status, thinking that happiness comes from these things. But a woman who lives alone, who has embraced solitude, turns inward. She finds her true sense of purpose in solitude. There are no distractions, no one to impress. You are left with your thoughts, your desires, and your ambitions. The Stoics believe that a person's highest calling is to live with purpose and virtue. Without distractions, a solitary woman has the time and space to reflect and act deliberately toward her goals. She wakes up every day with a mission, not because others expect it, but because she expects it of herself. This single-minded pursuit of purpose is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. The irony of solitude: the more comfortable a woman becomes with being alone, the stronger her relationships become. A woman who embraces solitude doesn't waste time on shallow relationships. She chooses quality over quantity. She values depth, not superficial interactions. By mastering solitude, a woman isn't needy. She doesn't chase attention or validation. She forms connections based on shared values and mutual growth. And this makes her incredibly attractive. She is not desperate for companionship. Instead, she enjoys the company of others, knowing her happiness doesn't depend on anyone else. A woman who lives alone learns to be unshakable. She doesn't panic when things go wrong or crumble under pressure. She's not influenced by other people's emotions or opinions. She moves through life with unbreakable calm, discipline, and self-assurance. This is the essence of Stoicism, accepting life as it is without complaint or fear. A woman who has mastered solitude knows that happiness doesn't come from external sources. She is content with herself, unshaken by rejection or setbacks. She is free, and that freedom makes her truly powerful. What have we learned? The woman who lives alone is not weak or lost. She is strong, self-sufficient, emotionally stable, and free. She chooses quality over quantity in relationships and is at peace with herself. Living alone doesn't mean a woman is incomplete. It means she has mastered herself. She is not controlled by external pressures or emotional turmoil. The truth is, the most powerful and successful women are those who don't need anyone to validate their worth. They choose to share their lives with others only when it adds value. The Stoics taught that freedom and happiness begin with self-sufficiency. To live a meaningful life, you must master your own mind, emotions, and actions. So if you've ever felt like solitude makes you weak, remember this: the woman who learns to thrive alone is unstoppable.